Hey, this is your boy the Duck coming at you with another gun review. And this is one that I teased a while back and I'm finally getting around to because it took me a little bit to get it rocking and rolling and get it done. And that is on this bad boy right here. This is the Nighthawk. Sandhawk TRS comp. I don't know what to call this thing. Nighthawk custom, of course everything's a little bit of a custom order, but this was actually ordered as a Sandhawk, but because we live in Florida and not the desert, we decided we didn't want the FDE, 50 Shades of FDE thing going on, so we decided green and black. All right, so I don't know if it's still considered a Sandhawk, but it's got the Sandhawk styling. We'll talk a little bit more about what makes that different here in a bit, but before we get into the gun, let's talk about the specs on this bad boy while we show you that beautiful turntable footage. So what do we got here? Well, this again is the Nighthawk Custom Sandhawk and or TRS comp. Again, pretty much the same thing other than a little bit of styling on the side. We'll talk more about that here in a minute. This is a 5-inch double stack 1911, or what commonly is referred to as a 2011, also meaning it is in 9mm. It is a machined billet steel frame inside that is all hand fit. This has the two-tone black DLC and OD green Cerakote finish. Again, that was a request by us. All hand fit, polished internals, just like you would expect from Nighthawk. It does have the Heine ledge rear sight and 14 karat gold bead front. But it is also cut for the iOS, so if we did want to swap it out, put a red dot on it, we could do that. It does come with a flat trigger, advertised to be around 3.5-ish pounds. Does not have a quote-unquote magwell, but it definitely does have a flared magwell at the bottom of the grip there, but it doesn't have a separate magwell piece. Does have the wide cut slide serrations. Again, that's part of the Sandhawk versus the TRS comp. Full length rail. And then obviously the big deal on this bad boy is going to be the integrated comp. So obviously if you look at the end here, just like if you remember on the Firehawk that I did the review on, it has a comp that is built into the barrel, but blends in because obviously it has this full length rail. All right, that's what is different from the Firehawk. Has that full length rail, and then that comp actually sits within that rail. And then when the gun obviously goes back and forth, that comp sits within the inside. Pretty damn sexy. So, stupid smooth. But before we talk about pros and cons on this thing, let's take you guys to the range, show you guys a little bit of shooting. This was actually one of the other guns that a lot of my GoPro footage got corrupted or whatever and didn't process through whatever. So don't have as much as I'd love to show you, but we do have some. So let's go check out some range footage and then we'll come on back and talk about this thing. Enjoy. We did not lock open. That is on one of the staccato mags. Could have been right in the safety. I don't know. We'll see. So as you can see, this thing is a shooter. It tracks stupid flat. I mean, again, the recoil on this thing, it's like shooting a 22. It's ridiculous. But. So, I hate to say it, I got some problems with this gun. And I know some of these things are going to sound nitpicky. And let me kind of set the stage for why I'm being so nitpicky. As configured, okay, we have the ambi safety on it. That was an add-on. It has the iOS cut, which that has nothing to do with any of the issues we're having. But I mean, as configured, this is an over $6,000 setup. Okay, so if you were to look at building this out on Nighthawk Customs website, this is an over $6,000 gun. So with that being said, you know, again, with Nighthawk, the whole one gun, one gunsmith, and kind of what they advertise, I think it's worth being nitpicky. And I know this is going to sound kind of shitty, but that's kind of the reality. I mean, we're not talking about a Glock where I'm complaining about, oh, you can see the molding, you know, seams on the frame. I mean, we're talking about a custom hand-fit gun that costs as much as some people's first vehicles, maybe even more. So I think it's worth being nitpicky. Now, before I go down the cons road, this gun shoots amazing. When you see people online and on YouTube talking about this being one of their favorite guns and a holy grail style gun, this is it. I will wholeheartedly roll with that. But when we talk about 1911s and 2011s, a lot of times we talk about the fit and finish. And one of the big things that when you start getting into Nighthawks and Wilsons, their higher ends, and, you know, Alchemies, and, you know, some of these more custom guns, now we're talking about details. We're talking about little itty bitty details that's making the difference between a $3,000 gun and an double that over $6,000 gun. So with that being said, there's a couple things on this that do kind of aggravate me. All right. Finish wise, I don't know if you can see it in the camera. Maybe I'll try to take a picture and get a good view of it. I don't know, see if I can get that to focus there. If you look at this little seam right here, you can see where the mainspring housing, I don't know if I can get that to focus right. I'll take a picture of it. You can see where the mainspring housing, this little groove right here, the mainspring housing is ever so slightly lower with that groove than the rest of the grip. All right, and again, does it affect function? No, but it's a detail, okay? My other detail issue that I have is going to be, if you look at the back of the trigger, and again, probably something I'll have to take a picture of. Actually, no, you can kind of see it there. If you look at the back of the trigger, there's a slight gap that you can actually see ever so slightly. And I have a flat trigger that I had done on my TRP. So I know it's not just a Nighthawk flat trigger thing, but it's almost like the trigger sits too far forward and it leaves a little hair of a gap right there at the back of that trigger. Again, is it affecting any function? No, but it's a minor detail. And again, when we're talking about in this price point, I think those minor details matter. Because don't get me wrong, the performance of this gun is amazing. But when you put it up against other comped, you know, say like a Staccato XC, or, you know, some of these other comped guns, these 2011s, how do you justify $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 more? It should be those little details. And that's one thing that, again, kind of bothered me. The other thing I will say, this safety, it almost feels like it's spongy. I mean, you can tell it doesn't really, I mean, you can hear it click, but it's not extremely positive. I mean, you can even see if I do it with both sides at the same time, you don't even hear it click. Versus, and again, not to compare, but I mean, it is something to be said. I mean, you can hear that hardcore click. All right. This, very minor. And it's not just a Nighthawk thing. I mean, here's my Nighthawk GRP. All right, hold on, might help if I cock the thing. And I mean, you can feel and hear where it's very tactile. That's the word you always hear people say when it comes to safeties, that tactile. This is not a tactile gun. I mean, it's kind of soft, and I don't even want to say gritty, but spongy maybe is kind of the word for it. So that was a little disappointing. The other issue I have with this gun is I know it's meant to be super light recoiling, and it's sprung to make that happen. And maybe this is where maybe I'm still a little bit of a novice to 2011s, because I enjoy my 1911s, but 2011s are a little different. I feel like it's sprung too light, because when I load the gun and I just hit the slide release and the slide goes forward, it does it like in slow motion. And I've never had an issue where it doesn't fully load. You know, I haven't had a failure to feed by no means, but it slows you down. And it's to the point where if you're running this gun fast, and I mean, reloads on this thing is stupid quick. I mean, that metal on metal, these mags just shoot out. It's beautiful. But when you come up and you let that slide go forward, and yes, I'm gonna let it do it. Calm your panties, all right? And you let that slide go forward, especially with a live round in there. Again, I don't want to play with loaded guns, but with a live round in there, it's like it, and it takes a second to go forward. And again, it's something where I feel like if it was sprung just a little bit heavier, and it might even be something I reach out to Nighthawk about and see if maybe they have a recommended of maybe going a little heavier with it. You know, it's one of those things you hear sometimes about, like with the XC, the Staccato XC, that, you know, if it gets dirty, it starts getting sluggish. Well, even beautifully clean and lubricated, this thing does the same thing. It's sluggish to go forward. And I feel like it's just because this is such a light spring. The recoil spring on this thing is just so light. It just doesn't have that ass to force it forward. Which I know it sounds like I'm hitting a lot of negatives on this thing, but I'll tell you right now, this is by far the nicest gun I've ever shot. By far. I can throw doubles, triples, you know, I can do just mag dumps with this thing, and it stays on target. It shoots incredibly. And that's why, again, at that price point, it aggravates me that it has these little detail issues, because I feel like at the price point it's at, it shouldn't. All right. And again, some people can claim I'm being nitpicky, but I'm sorry, when you start paying what you're paying for these things, I think you kind of get the right to be a little nitpicky on things. So nothing that, not like with the safety. Have I ever had the safety not disengage or not engage? No. I mean, it engages. It just doesn't compare to the others. It doesn't feel as tactile and solid. You know, are any of these things issues that I want to call Nighthawk and say, hey, you know, I'm going to send this back and fix it? No. And because honestly, I don't see where any of it's going to cause the gun to not run. But again, it's just one of those things, like, you know, if you buy a $1 million car and the stitching on the seat isn't, you know, straight and it's crooked, you're going to bitch. I mean, you're going to complain, because god dang, you spent the money on the thing. It should be right. And those are the little details on this that, you know, when Nighthawk claims that whole one gun, one gunsmith, you know, this is their stitch. This is what they push. And it breaks my heart to do this, because I love my Nighthawks. I actually just did a warranty issue with my GRP, actually. I screwed up, sheared one of the screws off, reached out to Nighthawk. It was dealt with instantly. The customer service at Nighthawk is stellar. I mean, just second to none. Bob Reeves over there in their custom department, he has been great to deal with. Every time I email him, he gets back to me almost instantly. So this isn't me talking shit on Nighthawk, but unfortunately, no matter what the company, I don't give a crap how good you are. You know, you guys know I love my Alchemies too, but I had an issue with it. I reached out to them. It was a QC issue. They took care of it and fixed it. I don't know that I'm going to worry about. Maybe if Nighthawk reaches out, maybe I'll send this back to him to have him check it out. But honestly, I love this thing. This gun is just stupid amazing. Buddy of mine and I mean, we've put a crap ton of rounds through this thing, and it just runs. I mean, but again, I feel like I feel like it's a gun that I can't trust if, God forbid, shit hit the fan. And I kind of want all my guns to be that kind of gun. And that's one thing that kind of breaks my heart on this. You know, my staccatos have, you know, like I talked about in the staccato review, it has that duty feel. You know, and I know this isn't meant to be a duty gun by no means, but the type of gun it is, I feel like it should have that ruggedness to it, and it doesn't. It doesn't have that rugged feel to it. And maybe it's not meant to. Maybe I'm misjudging it. I talked about I was going to talk the difference between the Sandhawks and the TRS comp. So the Sandhawk has these actual serrations. All right. The TRS comp has, instead of the serrations, it has the holes that match the grip. As far as I know, that and the FDE coating, the 50 shades of FDE that it does, as far as I know, that's the only difference between the Sandhawk and the TRS comp. So I don't know, again, if this earned or is right to be called the Sandhawk, but it was ordered as a Sandhawk, so I'm going to say it's a Sandhawk. That's what's on the invoice. So, but otherwise, TRS comp, whatever. I mean, either way, it's a Nighthawk custom. You know, it shouldn't fit the exact bill of anything. You know, I put some custom features on it, so at this point, it's a Nighthawk custom, and that's what I'm going to call it. So, it's a Nighthawk custom, 9mm, 2011, 1911 double stack, whatever the hell you want to call it. So again, like I always say, guys, I don't claim to be an expert on any of this stuff. I will say I'm still newer to the 2011 game, but I don't feel this is new to 2011 issues. I feel this is a little above and beyond that. So again, just a little info point for you on the Sandhawk. By no means am I trying to discourage anybody from buying a Sandhawk, because I think this gun is honestly one of the best guns I've ever shot. By far, everybody I have let shoot this gun, and it's been several. I've had a couple students of mine shoot it now, friends of mine. Everybody who has shot this gun, their jaw hits the ground. They're like, holy crap, how can that gun be so smooth and so light? Because it literally is like shooting a 22. I mean, it is a gorgeous shooting gun. But again, when we're playing in a price point of what this gun comes at, the details matter. I fully believe the details matter. So again, just another little info point for you. If you haven't already, like us, hate us, rate us, follow us, comment, all the fun stuff. Tell us how we're being whiny about this damn thing, you know, whatever. I don't care. I'm just giving you guys some information here and some things to think about and some things to look at. So hopefully all is well out in the YouTube worlds. Everybody be safe. This is your boy the Duck saying be safe, quack, quack, and we will see you in the next video. Take care.